Hello, Farming Secrets community, and welcome to another Let's Talk Soil session. I'm excited today. We've got an amazing story by Jen. Hello, Jen. How are you doing?
Hi, everyone.
So, Jen, share a little bit about. I'm great, thanks. Share a little bit about who you are, where your land is, and what you're up to.
Okay. My name is Jen. I'm what would be seen as a hobby farmer in Wiradjuri country in the central west of New South Wales. I used to be a high school music teacher, moved away from that about 7 years ago. I'm just closing the book completely at the end of the year. I live on 25 acres and my aim for this property is to grow as much food as I possibly can in a very lightly treading step.
Lovely. So it's such a big movement at the moment of everyone wanting to be self-sufficient, grow their own food, and really know where their foods come from. Having that kind of checkpoint right throughout the journey. What got you interested to kind of get this set up and start growing your own food and buying 25 acres? What was that sparky moment?
I have no idea. I have been asked that question from the very beginning.
Yeah.
We started looking when I was pregnant with my fourth child to move out of town. Both my husband and I are city dwellers. I grew up in Orange, which is in the central west, and my husband came from Sydney. So neither of us had an ounce of country living in us. But I've since found out that generations past, I had, people in the family who were farmers. I think my inspiration to start this journey was actually from Matthew Evans. We went to a dinner that was put on by him in Orange, or just outside of Orange. And he awakened me to the idea of the ability to grow your own food and how important local food systems are. And ever since then, my journey has been set in stone as far as get out, start growing your own food, start producing food for my own community to bolster my own community, clean food that builds community and makes a resilient community, and in the soil, in the farm life, in my family and beyond as well. So there's been all of these other inspirational people along the way, but I think he started my journey.
Yeah, love that. And you've mentioned community, and I think that's one of the big things that we focus on at Farming Secrets is bringing that community back to regional towns, to the growing areas, and just really having people understand where their food comes from, being really connected to their farmer. And, we've gone through this pandemic as a global economy. And I think that's really kind of fast tracked people questioning where their food comes from. And I guess maybe you're a little bit ahead of the curve of like questioning that and taking the action to set up your own space. Which is really great for yourself. But I want to also ask you a very important question. But what does soil mean to you? Like, you've been working with soil for some time now, but what does soil mean to you?
It's a good question, Ray. I think I've always thought of myself as a soil farmer and nothing else. So if someone says they're a cropper or a grazer or a market gardener or an urban farmer, whatever it is, all you're doing is creating great soil. And whatever happens from that is up to nature to really decide. But you can manage that with design of soil. After doing my first permaculture course, I used to go around going, all right, when's hammock time? I hear that, it's all this abundant food, but when do I get to just sit and enjoy it, right? So I have a mate who is on a similar journey as far as permaculture is concerned. And I said, when's your hammock time coming? And he said, 8 years. I reckon we can do it in 8 years. 6 years down the track, maybe 7, still waiting for the hammock to be posted up on those, trees in the food forest. But I think to fast track that journey after doing a permaculture course, if I'd actually got involved in analysing soil, doing proper soil tests that involved biology, then that hammock time would be now, rather than in the 8 years time that it takes for soil to just naturally, or around here, I don't know about anyone else's soil, but around here it would naturally take about 8 years after it being flogged by graziers and pesticides and herbicides and fertilizers, all that sort of stuff, it would take about 8 years for it to just start to give. But I think with proper soil testing and management, you can increase that or decrease that time down to, 2 or 3 years. Long.
Yeah. I love that. And it's all about, I love how you refer to it as being a soil farmer, because, that's the life of everything that kind of grows from. And once you understand how the soil works, it is really like a game changer, because you just start questioning, do I really want to put this on it if I know what's going to happen below the ground? Yeah. And so the fact that you're focusing so much on the soil, and then also thinking about if you get it right or you start measuring and managing, you can kind of fast track, which, we live in a world of instant gratification. Everyone wants everything right now. But with soil, there is a delayed gratification, but we can fast track it a little bit, which is great. So what type of stuff? So you've got a food forest. Share with everyone like a bit of a visual of what your place looks like. What's your hammock moment look like?
Oh, no, nowhere near it yet. There's so much more to do. So kitchen garden out the front, it's designed with permaculture in mind. So I don't know if your audience knows about permaculture, but just outside the front door on the way to the driveway is my kitchen garden. It's in development. That was my COVID project, still happening. So beyond that, down the hill a little bit is a developing food forest. I'm looking, not knowing a lot about syntropic agriculture, I'm looking at trying to use the, words gone, the philosophies of syntropic agriculture to develop a food forest out the front. And beyond that, I have a couple of swales, trying that out with another food forest that's a bit further down the track. Beyond that, so that's zone 1 for the kitchen garden, and zone 2 is the food forest. And then beyond that, and the rest of the farm is grazing with 10 Dexter cows, who I originally bought as a heritage breed, but I've since found out that they're no longer heritage. And they're dual purpose, so I was able to milk them and eat their meat as well. Now they're managed holistically with holistic grazing, planned grazing, and they create great soil for me. I'm just closing the book on a market garden venture. It's just been a bit tricky with the drought and lack of water security here to continue a market garden, but it's all set up ready to go if the season's great and I don't have a broken ankle. So there's a variety of things. There's also a tree corridor we've just put in with the help of Landcare, 200 metres by 20 metres of connectivity for wildlife. And that's basically a big ridge line across the property that connects our property to remnant bushland around. Did I answer your question? I hope so.
Absolutely. You've painted a lovely picture, and I have, I want to come and see it. I think it's, you're definitely, living a life that a lot of people aspire to. So given that point that some people are really wanting to get out there, and especially after COVID, there are a lot of people who want to move away from cities and move into regional and grow their own food. What is something that people should be looking for to make as their first step? Should they go and spend time on a farm, or should they just go and buy one?
Oh, look, if I had my time again, I would probably go around and just woof everywhere around wherever I could. Just learning from other farmers, living on farm, and just to make sure it's for you. It's a lot of hard work. It's incredibly rewarding, and I don't think I will ever stop doing it. But it is hard work, and it's a big decision to make. So if I had the opportunity, I would definitely go around to farmers, just do a 3-month stint here and there if you can. If you're trying to fit it in around work, then I don't know how you manage that, maybe do weekends away. But just go and find a network of farmers who are willing to share their way of farming, and find a place that you just love. It'll yell to you. The farm chose us. I didn't choose the farm chose us. So and there's a great network of people, and all regen farmers just love to share what they've done, their journey, and their learnings as well.
Yeah, yeah. And do you feel that there are a lot of farmers who are looking for extra helping hands? Because you mentioned the word wolf. I assume you mean woofing. Do you want to explain what woofing means?
Yeah, woofing is an acronym for willing workers on organic farms. So there's I think it's a website or a,
Yep.
Is it a website, Ray?
A
yeah.
website and a movement, yep.
Yeah, you can sign up to, and farmers also sign up to that, and you get connected. You can just find a farmer who suits what your needs are, and the farmer is looking for someone who has the skills or the labour that they need, and you just arrange. The farmer usually has a pretty decent setup of, I can give you accommodation and food, but in return you'll need to do 3 or 4 hours of labour. And it might be education that you get. I know a mate of mine does labour in exchange for a PDC. And I think there's a new network getting set up where you can actually travel around the country getting a PDC at different farms. So different farmers will actually teach different aspects of a PDC. So by the end of it, you've seen umpteen farms, you've lived in umpteen areas, and you've got a PDC at the end of it. So there's lots of ways of experiencing and living on the land before you make that final financial decision.
Yeah, I love that, is in like just being able to go and spend time with other farmers, get to like see how they do it, and then have that holistic kind of view of going, I really liked how this farmer did this, and you can kind of cherry pick the way that you want to set your farm up. And also it's almost like barter economy. It's like we're trading things that's not dollars, so it's value and knowledge.
The other thing though that I'd add to that is, I think when I first moved here, the ideal of having a lavender farm and pigs and all of these fancy ideas were bubbling around in my head. And about after 3 years of living here, I was like, that's not what the land wants to do. So it's also just that understanding of what the land can give to you as well as what you can give to it. So there's that reciprocity of give and take too, of what you can get from the farm.
Yeah. So beautifully said. That is such a great thing to highlight as well, because that is one of the things that I've noticed that farmers have lost, is this skill of observing and just knowing what that country needs and wants, and just letting it tell you. We go and we feel like we can control nature, and we say, all right, this is going to be a lavender farm, and maybe lavender just doesn't grow in that area. So let's keep, like there's a disconnect of what's on your Pinterest board to what's actually the land wanting to have you do. And so seeing the signals and being able to spend time in different country going, oh, well, there's a lot of drought area here. Maybe I can't grow X, Y, and Z. So if you really want to do that, then maybe that's the wrong area. So that's really good. So one of the other things I wanted to like pick your brain with, is it feels like you've got some great knowledge and experience around this permaculture, and a lot of we've recently done a permaculture program with Milkwood, and really enjoyed getting that kind of ground zero, that zone zero and beyond sorted. And someone like myself, even in an apartment, enjoyed getting a lot of those principles out. So you don't need to have lots of land to start living and practicing the principles. But what do you look for healthy soil? How do you look at soil and go, that's a really good soil, or that's not so good soil? What are your telltale signs?
That's a really good question, Ray. I have to pick it up. There's nothing else you can do, but you have to pick it up. And if you can't actually get your hand in it, it's probably just dirt or clay or something. But to pick it up and look at it, feel it and smell it. It's a very tactile thing for me. I don't know if I've actually, scientifically gone, well, that's this, this, and this, and this, but I can have a sense of the physical. There's no way I can understand the chemical. That would be a soil test. But to even see the biology happening, to look for fungi, to look for worms or, other biological life that I can see with my eyes. And to get that beautiful texture, that's what I'm looking for in soil. And the colour too, is amazing too. The more organic matter that you put into the soil, the darker it gets, right? That's pretty magic. So there's lots of things. I actually don't know whether there's a little bit of intuition that goes on there too. We're using all of the physical senses, but whether there's a bit of intuition about soil as well.
Yeah. And I think you're quite right when you're that connected, and you're not the first person to just say, you just know it's good soil. There's just something about it. It smells right. It feels right. And I think there is this intuition inside of us that just kind of gets it. That is very hard to teach. It's very hard to articulate. But I love the fact that you went directly to like physically touching the soil, and it's using the senses. It's observing it, looking at it, smelling it. I know some people who have even said tasting the soil can give them a bit of a profile, and soil should be safe enough to eat. It's the chemicals and fertilizers that we put on it that would make us feel scared about that. But in its natural form, there is a lot of food that grows in soil, and it's more nutritional if we eat it with the soil wrapped around it. And so I think that's really cool to kind of know that with practice you get a lot better at touching it, feeling it, observing it, and that links in really well with like our soil challenge, because that's what we really encourage with the 7 steps of healthy soil, is to observe it, do bug count, do a worm count, look at it, touch it, have a look. It's really about observing, and once you have that sorted, everything kind of just magically falls into place afterwards. Jen, it's been awesome chatting with you. Is there any last thought that you want to leave the audience thinking about as they reflect this interview?
I'd like to add to the soil thing, though. I have no deep philosophical message for everyone, but there's also an importance in observing what's growing on the soil and the messages that those plants are giving you from the soil. It's not necessarily digging in and actually wrecking some of the structure of it as it is, but also just observing, going, okay, there's nothing growing there. Why? And trying to manage that to change it, and you can. It's fantastic. But no, I have no last messages. Just enjoy the journey. Just enjoy the learning and the community of people who surround you in a journey to regenerate the planet. And they pop up left, right, and centre as soon as you open your eyes and your mind to it. It's a wonderful community.
Well, that was very inspiring. I love the whole enjoy the journey and enjoy the learning. I think that's a really good point to make, because we've been talking about that a lot lately, that regen is a journey. It's not a destination. You'll probably never get there. It's this continual regenerating the land, improving, exploring different things, and testing, like you're exploring permaculture with syntropic and, whatever we want to label on it. All we're really focused on is how do we farm the soil to be better and healthier. So I love that. The highlighting of it being a journey, because it definitely is that.
Thanks, Ray. That's
no
great
worries
to chat to you.
Jen, I'm excited about exploring your journey further. I think we could definitely do maybe a virtual farm tour or something on your place.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, excellent. That'll be fun. Well, everyone, thanks very much for joining in and chatting soil. Until next time, remember to get your hands dirty and start digging deeper into your soils.
Fantastic.